All right, we're recording.
Well, thank you very much to all of you for joining us, and thank you to my experts who are here on this call with me to really help you understand what is going on and what is at stake with Social Security today. We are here, all of us, to really sound the alarm because Social Security is a promise, and Trump and Musk are doing everything possible they can do to break that promise. Trump can huff and puff and promise he won't touch Social Security until he's blue in the face. But here are the facts. They are firing workers and encouraging them to leave en masse. They are shuttering offices across the country. They are throwing up barriers for seniors and people with disabilities. They are jamming up the phone lines and wait times, and they're doing it without a care in the world. Seriously, they may as well be telling people who need Social Security, good luck, you're on your own. After all, Trump's own Commerce Secretary basically said he doesn't think anyone will mind if their benefits get cut off for a month or two. And if you did complain, perhaps it's because you're a fraudster. Well, does he know any real people? I don't think so. And Elon hasn't shown the slightest concern that while he is leading a witch hunt for dead people on Social Security, SSA has incorrectly declared living people dead, including here in Washington State, and wrongly stole thousands of dollars in benefits out of people's bank accounts. Not to mention, Trump's administration officials are accidentally sending war plans to reporters over text message. And now we're supposed to trust a 20-year-old Doge employee with every piece of data SSA has on everyone? I don't think so. Career civil servants and leadership with decades of experience at SSA have resigned because of what Elon Musk and Doge are trying to do. Meanwhile, Trump's acting head of the Social Security Administration first tried to stop parents in Maine from being able to apply for a Social Security number for their newborns in the hospital after Trump got in a fight with their governor. Then he threw an entirely different tantrum and threatened to shut down the entire agency because a judge said he couldn't hand over everyone's private financial data to Elon Musk's Doge minions. And now, on Trump's orders, is requiring people to go to Social Security offices in person to verify their identity. At the same time, they are firing workers and shutting office. Now, it's not hard to imagine why some of the richest people in the world don't get it. Elon Musk is never going to go hungry because he missed a Social Security check. But it's also not hard to see how what they are doing is really dangerous. If Social Security wrongly declares you dead in Elon's conspiracy purge, it's your problem. If you can't verify your identity because there's no office near you and no appointment available for months, that is a problem. If your private financial data is compromised because Elon's Doge minions are mucking around with no oversight, that's a problem. And if Social Security breaks down and misses payments because billionaires like Elon and Trump don't care, or because the acting commissioner doesn't have the first clue of what he is doing, or because they are actively sabotaging the entire program, that is a major problem for tens of millions of Americans. Social Security administrative expenses represent less than 1% of benefits paid. It's about 0.2% of total government spending. Cutting our Social Security staff and closing offices is not going to reduce the deficit or make the government more efficient. Instead, it is making it harder for millions of Americans to apply for the benefits they've earned and delay processing, and it's simply another way of cutting Social Security benefits. That appears to be the goal here. All why? To make room for their tax cuts for billionaires. And I think there's a pretty basic reason I understand that while all these clueless, careless, completely out of touch billionaires don't seem to know or care. It's because I actually hear from people every day who really rely on Social Security. And I actually remember how badly my parents needed Social Security. I know what a weight was lifted when they were finally eligible for their benefits. And I know how crushing it will be for families if Trump and Musk succeed into grinding this into the ground. Because here's the thing, Social Security is a promise. But more than that, it is a lifeline that keeps millions of people afloat, sometimes with their heads just above the water. That was my parents once upon a time. It is countless other families today. And Trump and Musk are trying to cut that lifeline. Well, I want you to know I am not going to let them get away with sabotaging Social Security in the shadows, and neither are the American people. I'm going to keep this in the spotlight and keep pushing back with everything I've got so we protect Social Security and keep our promise to Americans. Here with me today are 4 people who truly understand that. I want you to hear from them, and I'm going to start with Laura. Thanks for being with us today, Laura.
Okay, thank you, Senator Murray. My name is Laura Novakoski, and I work at Social Security, but not for much longer. I'm retiring next week. I have been with the agency for more than 30 years. I'm also the secretary of Local 3937, American Federation of Government Employees, our union, which represents the workers in Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Alaska. I have been at my job through 5 presidents, 16 Social Security acting commissioners and commissioners, and 5 government shutdowns when I had to report to work without being paid. So the reason that I chose this job and stayed with it for so long is because I really care about helping people, and I think I'm pretty good at it. But I'm glad to lend my perspective today with Senator Murray and the others here. We need to make it clear that Social Security has never been under this kind of targeted and callous attack as we're seeing. I was not expecting to be leaving now this year. I'm just exhausted. I'm demoralized, just like a lot of other employees around the region. We are under constant stress, and it takes a toll on our physical and mental health. Social Security has consistently, by a polling of our own employees, been placing last of the best federal agencies to work in the last several years. Back 10, 15 years ago, we were number 2. So it's really declined. And for over a decade, our staffing numbers have been just going down while the people that we serve has been growing, like the boomer generation who needs our services. Every single retirement claim that we do, every disability claim, every Social Security number, replacement card, those are all real people, and we know that. We work directly with the public who are often in very difficult times in their lives when they need us. We need to be able to help them quickly. We are told that we're the face of this agency. And so how do you think it feels when I come to work every day? I'm bombarded with voicemails, calls, dozens of people a day demanding to know, when are you going to get to my case? When are you going to help me? When is my check going to arrive? And I don't have time to help even half of them. And so as the face of the agency, I'm the one that they get angry at. And then my management team tells me that it's probably my fault that I'm not keeping up. People are waiting days or weeks just to hear back from us. They're waiting hours to call our number, and then they get hung up on because of the crappy phone system. The field office, it takes a couple of weeks or more to even get an appointment, if you can even reach us on the phone, or they come and wait in the lobby, and the waiting times are going up to 1-2 hours and higher. And that goes on all day long. So the workers are stressed, the public is stressed. Just a few of the things that I wanted to point out as a worker in the field offices that have been happening in the past couple months that are just inefficient and destructive for our agency. Telework was completely canceled. That was one of the major factors of job satisfaction and productivity. That's gone. The famous "what did you do last week?" 5 bullets emails that we all have to fill out every week. I've been recycling the same bullet points for weeks. Nobody reads them. Nobody cares. It's just a power play. I wrote something as simple as I communicated with my supervisor. I helped the public in English and Spanish. And apparently I'm going to be in trouble by who if I don't do it? Elon Musk? I don't work for him. Um, this requirement that's supposed to be starting next week about forcing people to come into offices, like you said, Senator Murray, if they can't prove their identity online, they're going to be forced to come to the office. The acting Deputy Commissioner of Operations, Doris Diaz, has written a memo stating that she thinks this is going to cause 75,000 to 85,000 people a week, more than what we're already serving, to come into the offices. So that's going to crash our wait times. I mean, there's no place to sleep in a lobby, but that might happen. When the Social Security Agency has to reallocate somebody like me, I am a GS-12. I am one of the highest paid non-management people. I've been working here for 30 years. I should be spending my time adjudicating claims, doing complex work, getting people paid. But instead, I have to spend 1 day a week in the lobby doing GS5 workloads, which are very important, but I could be better use elsewhere, moving things along. And instead, I'm out in front answering people's questions, printing out letters, trying to answer questions about Medicare, which honestly isn't my specialty. And so it's just not efficient. When this administration appointed Acting Commissioner Leland Dudek and they nominated Commissioner Frank Pisignano, that is just another trend of this administration appointing agency heads who do not believe in their own administration, and they're just going to actively work to dismantle it. So it's really disheartening. So I just feel tremendous guilt for leaving my coworkers behind. I mean, I feel like I'm in the last lifeboat off of a sinking ship. So it's hard for me to make the decision to leave. I just want to say that we, the workers, we're serious, hardworking people, and we are taxpayers too, just like the people who rely on Social Security. We expect the representatives that we elected to take care of the program and to strengthen it. I don't think we should let Social Security be toyed with by the people who have no stake in it, and they have no concern for the ramifications to real people. I don't think that we should let it be taken apart and taken over by private interests and billionaires. Thank you for listening.
Laura, thank you. Really appreciate all the work you do for so many people. Sad to lose you from this agency, but we all understand why. And this is what we need to do, is not let people like this be lost to us. So thank you. Okay, I'm going to turn it over now to Steve. So if you want to go ahead and share with us your experience.
Thank you, Senator Murray. My name is Steve Kofal. I'm a 42-year Social Security Administration employee who retired 10 years ago. So I started back in 1973. Shortly after that, the agency reached its highest staffing level of about 85,000 people. We're now down to the lowest level we've had since that time that I was hired. When I was first hired, we had far fewer people. We're at those numbers again, in spite of the fact that 11,000 people a day reach age 65 in this country, which is a record. But we have other records that are not records we are proud to have at Social Security. For instance, it's now taking over 800 days for a person to get through the disability claims and appeals process if they have to go through the entire claims and appeals to get their benefits. That is unacceptable and inexcusable. We have I'm sorry. We have about 1,300 leases in the U.S. government that the Trump administration intends to cancel that are Social Security offices. 7,500 leases altogether that they want to do away with. 1,300 of them represent our field offices. Almost every one is in rented space. If we lose our field offices and employees are ordered back to the field offices to do their work, where does that leave the agency? Where does that leave the employees? And most importantly, where does it leave the public? As Laura said, when people contact Social Security, it's at the most difficult points of their lives. Excuse me. It's when a worker dies and their family needs survivor benefits. It's when a person becomes disabled and has lost their income and needs help, and not in years, but in a matter of months to sustain themselves. It's when people retire, which should be a happy time, but it's also a stressful time. There's no substitute for the personal touch that Social Security employees can provide in field offices to people in these circumstances. So we desperately need help. We need Congress to act. I want to thank Senator Murray in particular, because when we fought the privatization battles in 2005, she was our champion. She made sure that the Bush administration did not privatize Social Security. I'm very concerned that all of this is really a prelude to another shot at privatizing Social Security, stealing the $2.8 trillion that are in the trust funds, and enriching people who don't need any more riches. So this is a serious threat. I'm pleased that that the public is paying attention, and that the press is waking up to this. We have an article called "Long Waits, Waves of Calls, Web Crashes, Social Security is Breaking Down." That appears, that's a Washington Post article that's running in the Seattle Times this morning. And it tells a devastating story. People need to be aware of what's going on. And so I want to thank Senator Murray again for making this opportunity available to us to talk about. And I look forward to hearing from the other speakers. Thank you.
Thank you so much. With that, we will turn it over to Sarah.
Thank you, Senator Murray. My name is Sarah Lambert, and I'm a retired nurse living in Carnation, Washington, which is about an hour east of Seattle. After paying into Social Security all of my adult life, I now collect those earned benefits. When I first signed up a couple of years ago, I had no trouble creating an online account and have checked on my account regularly. I also volunteer at our local Snow Valley Senior Center and work with senior citizens, educating them on topics that may be useful to them in their everyday lives. Right now, we're working on a Civics 101 series in the weekly class I teach. Everyone should know how their government is supposed to work. Social Security has roots in the New Deal legislation passed by Congress and signed by President Roosevelt in the 30s to provide some economic security for elders and others. Last week in class, we talked about changes coming to Social Security access at the end of the month. That's now really close. I've encouraged them all to create accounts on SSA.gov to avoid in-person visits, a hardship for many of those who don't drive. As we age, it's more likely that we need to move to a smaller home or an assistive environment. We may want to change banks or designate someone to manage our account should we become unable. All of this could be an easy phone call to direct SSA and the changes needed. Now let me tell you about Vernice. She told me yesterday that I could share her story. Vernice is 85 years old and a veteran. She joined the WACs in the late 50s. Vernice was the first person to move into the Carnation Senior Apartments, a low-income housing project which recently opened next door to the senior center. Vernice needs to change her address to keep receiving the Social Security check she relies on to buy food and pay her rent. She is unable to drive, and although she has an older smartphone, it's pretty challenging for her to get online and navigate websites. After trying to call Social Security, waiting on hold and not getting through, she asked me for help. A few days ago, we sat down at a senior center computer to create an online Social Security account for her. This isn't easy. SSA.gov requires you to prove your identity at login.gov or id.me before doing anything else. We thought we had worked through this and moved on to SSA.gov. But no matter what we did, we kept getting messages that something was incomplete or incorrect. We finally found a phone number to call to get some help with Vernice's online account. After waiting for an hour, we were able to talk with someone who kindly tried to assist. She spent quite some time with Vernice and indicated that the address change was made, but we couldn't see it on screen because she didn't have an account yet. But she couldn't connect Vernice's login.gov to SSA.gov or help her create an online account. Her only advice was to contact login.gov. After spending more than 2 hours trying, we've opted to meet again tomorrow for a run at login.gov. This time we'll be bringing snacks and maybe a crochet project to work on while we wait. I continue to hear news reports of unelected, unvetted, and unknown people invading Social Security looking for supposed fraud, but I've yet to see documented proof of any fraud. Also, I'd like to know how my personal information will be safeguarded and that my guaranteed benefits will continue. A missed Social Security check will create hardship for honest, hardworking taxpayers who are supposed to be in their golden years. We're experiencing frustration and fear incarnation, as I expect is the case around the country. Maybe the billionaires trying to run the country haven't experienced living paycheck to paycheck recently. Can we at least ask that they learn a little Civics 101? Thank you.
Thank you. Joey, we will now turn to you and thank you for coming on and sharing your story today.
Thank you, Senator Murray. I have a speech here today I'd like to read.
Joey, pull your mic up a little bit closer so we can hear
you. Sure.
There you go.
Hello, my name is Joey Wilson. I'm 33. I live with schizophrenia, and Social Security has been and continues to be a big part of life. Today I want to share concerns regarding Social Security and those of us who rely on it. I've been on Social Security since the age of 18 and on Social Security disability income since I was 22. My schizophrenia symptoms started when I was 12 years old, and I was diagnosed at 19 permanently and placed in a group home run by Transitional Resources. At 23, with the help of Transitional Resources, I moved into an apartment in the neighborhood where I grew up, close to my family and friends. Social Security subsidizes a portion of my rent, which has allowed me to live on my own for more than 10 years. My journey has been filled with challenges. Despite that, I found a path forward. With help from my support network, my family, my mentor, my job coach, counselors, and SSTI. I'm a proud college graduate from the Bellevue College Occupational Life Skills Program. I sit on boards, the Arc of King County, NAMI Seattle, and St. Vincent de Paul. I also work part-time at Whole Foods. I speak at events on behalf of those with serious mental health conditions to help spread awareness of daily needs, such as affordable housing and nearby public transportation. I also talk about how such basic needs, when unmet, limit our ability to participate fully in our communities, limits us as co-equals in society. For example, the SSDI income cap limit is set at $1,620 a month. That means that individuals cannot earn more than that and keep their SSDI. This restricts me personally and many more who want to work additional hours, but can't risk losing their SSDI. The result is that it keeps us in poverty and further distances us from being contributing members of our communities. A dream of mine in life is to help break the SSDI income cap limit barrier for all Americans with a disability so we can work more. Social Security is in the crosshairs of budget cuts that would completely throw millions of Americans with disabilities into chaos. These are people who need responsive services for emergencies, people who count on regular appointments, people whose care cannot be jeopardized. It already takes hours to get a hold of Social Security on an average day. Think about the impact and damage the proposed cuts will do to individuals with disabilities. Please help us support those who cannot advocate for themselves. Thank you so much for your time today.
Joey, thank you for sharing your story. And this is who we are supposed to be serving in this country. And to put these people's lives at risk to put everyone's lives at risk is just absolutely irresponsible. Social Security is a promise to Americans that you get the benefits that you have earned and that we as a country stick up for each other and help all of our communities be stronger. So I'm going to be fighting these cuts and changes and offices being closed and all these rules that make it really impossible for seniors and people with disabilities to be able to live the lives of dignity that they should be able to live in this country. With that, I'm happy to open it up to any questions.
All right, we have some time for questions. If you are a reporter on this call who has a question, please use the raise hand function so we can go ahead and call on you. And I'll give folks a minute to find the raise hand function and ask a question.
Naomi, how do you find the raise hand?
All good. And if any reporters on the call would like to ask a question and don't know how to use the raise hand function, you can just go ahead and unmute yourself. We do have some time for questions. Giving folks another minute. All right, I'm not seeing any raised hands. So again, if you have a question, you can feel free to unmute yourself and ask, but I'll turn things back to, oh, okay, we have a question from Northwest Progressive Institute. If you could unmute yourself and share your name.
Thank you so much, Andrew Villeneuve for the Northwest Progressive Institute. What are the next steps? What can we do given that Elon Musk is not being checked by Republicans in Congress and has not seen his power at Doge diminished in any way? What can Congress do if Republicans are not willing to check this president?
Well, the most important thing we can do is raise the alarm, have people across the country speak out as our guests today have, and for all those who are listening or impacted, to raise your voice. Let your member of Congress and even let the White House know that this is a program that you count on and that you expect them to respect. Now, the president has said time and again that he supports Social Security. If he does, then he needs to change the actions that he is taking right now. We have found in the first few months of this administration that changes are made when people speak out and demand change. So that is what we are trying to do right now. Any illegal efforts that this administration is taking, or Elon Musk or Trump's administration, have to go through the courts. It takes a while. Some of this is illegal. We will fight it there. But for right now, what we want people to know is if you don't support this, raise your voice, let your member of Congress know. That public outcry is our best opportunity to make the changes that we need to make to this administration's slash and burn approach to the Social Security that so many people count on.
Great, and not seeing any other hands raised. Oh, I do see a hand raised. Great, we'll go to Gabriel Spencer.
Thank you. I had a question off topic, if that's okay. I wanted to see if you could say a little bit more about the signal thread issue and what kinds of consequences you'd like to see or what changes you'd like to see made in the wake of it.
Well, I'll just answer that quickly and happy to talk with you offline as well. Look, what happened having a signal chain between our top military and intelligent officers be on a chain that is accessible not only to a reporter, but possibly others, giving out information is a threat to our national security, to our military, to everyone who's involved. It cannot be tolerated, and I believe individuals need to be fired.
All right, and seeing no other questions, I'll turn it over to Senator Murray to close us out.
Well, thank you all very much, and we will stay in touch with all of you in the press as we see these come forward. I thought it was really important for you today to understand this isn't just various threats from the administration. The impacts are real on individuals right now, and we are raising the alarm and are going to fight back.